Hey, it is Titan 007. Today we re-breaking down The Witcher in a way that actually makes sense. No time stomps, no fluff, just what works, what doesn't, and why this show can be both awesome and maddening at the same time. First, quick orientation. The Witcher Season 1 is 3 tracks on 1 album. Geralt's monster jobs mostly happen years before Ciri's present. Yennefer's origin runs across decades. The show crosscuts all 3 until they finally meet. If you felt lost, you weren't alone. The structure makes cool moments pop, but it also melts the map. Let us clear the big lore, not that the show loves to drop mid-chaos, the law of surprise. It is an old custom. You owe me what you dante, yet know you have. Sometimes that's a dog, sometimes it's a child. In Witcherland, destiny hears that and rubs its hands together. That's how Geralt and Ciri are tied before they even meet. Alright, swords, because everyone loves the fight, and everyone argues about them. I went deep on a HEMA breakdown from David Rawling's London Longsword Academy. Plain talk, a longsword isn't a heavy iron club. It's fast, balanced, and designed to be used with 2 hands. The blade has a strong half near the hilt that controls binds, and a weak half near the point that doesn't. Reverse grip blade held backward looks edgy, fights badly. You lose reach and protection, especially up high. Spinning is not a personality trait. If you spin while you're not controlling your opponent's blade, you're offering your back to steel. Spins only make sense when you're managing multiple foes and keeping metal between you and them. When the show keeps things tight, cover, step in. Offhand controlling the weapon arm, balance breaks. Then the finish, it sings. When it widens into windmill cuts, it's just choreography. Verdict from that camp. Cavill's movement and physicality, strong. Actual fencing logic, mixed. And honestly, that tracks with most fantasy TV. Narrative spectacle first, martial sense second. It sets why the Princess Bride can be the best fight ever while breaking half the rulebook. The fencing fits the story. Now, the craft problem that explains a ton of the confusion. Time and structure. Season 1 had 8 hours to do 3 jobs at once, adapt short stories The Last Wish, give Yennefer a decades-long arc, and kick off Ciri's present. Something had to give. What gave was crucial setup. Case 1, the lesser evil, the Blaviken mess. In the book, you get a slow drip of clues about Renfri's plan, the Tridam ultimatum. She'll force a massacre to drag a wizard out of an impenetrable tower. Geralt's choice has moral teeth because you understand the stakes before the swords come out. On the show, most of that foreshadowing is gone. We jump from quiet morning to market. And the fight rules, but Geralt's ethics feel arbitrary because the why got trimmed to the bone. Case 2, a question of price, that banquet with the Hedgehog Knight and the Law of Surprise. On the page, it's a long, tense debate about destiny and culture with a midnight reveal. On screen, it's helmet off, chaos, quick explanation later. The moment still lands, but the weight that makes it unforgettable got compressed. Zoom out and you see the same pattern. Remove setup gives blunt motivation, gives theme docent to your land. The non-linear timeline can be cool, but without strong geographic faction anchors, it turns locations into a blur. Villages blend, travel time stretches and snaps. If you don't know where you are, it's hard to care who wins. There's also the casting representation discourse. Some folks felt modern diversity clashed with a Northern European vibe. Others didn't care. That's an immersion argument taste, not absolute craft law, but it did fuel the noise around the show. What about Henry Cavill? He became the show's trust anchor. He pushed for a Geralt closer to the books, more words, less statue, and you can feel it when it peeks through. When he announced he was out after Season 3, the fandom didn't just lose a lead. They lost the guy who seemed to be constantly asking, does this still feel like The Witcher? Depending on who you listen to, it was about creative direction, fidelity to source, or general production friction. Point is, his presence equaled confidence. His exit amplified every wobble. Now for the good news. The Witcher often works beautifully. Geralt as a character is tightrope walking gold, ruthless but honorable, with deadpan humor that salts the grim. Yennefer's story is rare in mainstream fantasy, power gained. Paid for, regretted, weaponized, and finally turned outward for something larger than herself. Fights pop when they stay compact and leverage the blade strong, offhand control, and footwork instead of parkour spins. Humor is the show's secret sauce. Even in heavy moments, the dry one-liners keep it human. If you need a nostrous Season 1 refresher, here's the bones. Geralt witches for coin, trying to avoid politics, and keeps stumbling into them anyway. Yennefer, sold and reshaped, climbs to power and finds the cost is everything she can't have. Ciri's world burns, her powers crack open, and destiny drags her toward the White Wolf. The Law of Surprise ties Geralt to Ciri from a banquet years back, where love and destiny bulldoze court logic. Geralt pays dearly for choosing the lesser evil in Blaviken. He breaks a curse by fighting until dawn. A Jinn episode binds him and Yennefer in messy, magical ways. A dragon hunt reveals truths about found family. Then Sodden Hill happens. Yennefer pulls fire from a castle and erases an army to buy the continent time. At last, Feverish and stubborn, Geralt finds the girl in the woods whose Yennefer, destiny loves. Quicksword sanity before we close. Cover gives close, gives control. Parry with the blades strong. Step in, use the free hand to own their weapon arm or balance, then finish. Point presence. Don't parry and recoil to your hip. Keep your point threatening so they have your problem to solve. Spin with purpose. If you're not binding or spacing multiple opponents, a spin is just you turning your back on a blade. So, should you watch it? If you want moody fairy tales, lethal steel, messy mages, and characters who crack jokes standing ankle-deep in blood, yes. If you need geopolitical clarity and perfect map logic, bring patience and maybe a pencil. The show at its best is sweaty, steel-on-steel myth with a black sense of humor. At its worst, it's a gorgeous blur that explains itself one beat too late. I'm Titan 007. If you want a follow-up, sword moves that actually work in The Witcher, a map faction cheat sheet that kills the confusion, or a clean season 2/3 catch-up, tell me what to drop next.